that. So I met Ellie and Jake, I met little Cleo, and I met little Isla, and their friends and family. So it was a very nice experience. They're a very humble family, very well-adjusted considering. Cleo was a delightful little girl who was playing in the backyard, and gave her the two teddies, which we named, and it was a lovely experience to meet her. She was, I thought, very well-adjusted considering, and the family were very appreciative of everything that had been done for them. So they're quite decent, fundamentally decent, honest human beings, and so they're really lovely people, and it was great to meet them and acknowledge what they've been through. Obviously there'll be a way to go from here, but they're certainly on the right pathway. So thanks very much, everyone, and can I thank everyone involved who brought this to a successful conclusion.
What was the conversation like with little Cleo that you had today?
Very nice. We did a few high fives. I unfortunately trod on her new Barbie shoes and broke one of them. So I owe her a pair of shoes. But gave her the two little police teddies, which we named Cameron and Rod. Cameron and Rod Senior didn't seem to like that much, but I think that's appropriate. I'm not sure that name will stick. Cleo didn't seem too enamoured of those names, but it was a lovely experience to meet that little girl. She's just bubbly, playing, friendly, sweet. She was eating an icy pole. She spilled it everywhere. She told me it was very, very sticky, which I believed, and she was just delightful.
You amazing her condition from
She was a very bright, upbeat, sweet little girl.
Did you ask the parents what they've been doing in the past 24 hours? Obviously holding her tighter.
They have. She's done a bit of sleeping, a lot of eating. They've done a lot of lying around together and cuddling, and just connecting as parents do with their little daughters.
I'm sure you've been following the story closely along with the rest of WA in the country. Was it a surreal moment to see little Cleo back home?
It was. Obviously I recognised her because I've seen her photo so many times, and she was just quite a well-adjusted little girl, and she heard the school siren go off, and she said, "That's my school." She was talking about her dog. We just had a normal conversation like you do with little girls.
Do you think she understands how big this is?
Probably not.
What about Ellie and Jake? How were they when you spoke to them?
Very well adjusted, very grateful for everything the police have done, and very just humble, normal people. They had no complaints. They had no demands. I said to them, there's so many resources here to help you, whatever you need, and they knew that, but they weren't that's nice people. They weren't difficult at all.
Did they discuss where to from here? How they received the call?
Oh, we did. I won't go into too much of that, but I think they'll spend a bit of time at home. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I'm sure that Rod will be able to fill you in on more of the operational details and the like. But I'd like to thank Rod and Cameron, especially for all their work.
Are we able to ask further questions?
I'd have to catch a plane, but certainly.
On elective surgeries, will they be resuming once the roadmap is set out?
We'll set out further details about what's happening tomorrow, so I won't preempt that. Obviously, we're putting the finishing touches on that, and I'm here today and a few other places I have to be, so we'll work through the exact final details in the lead up to tomorrow morning.
The 3-year-old boy was killed in a hit and run yesterday afternoon. Your heart must go out to his family.
I'm sorry, I don't know about that.
It was yesterday. It was an alleged hit and run. An 18-year-old driver allegedly speeding through the suburbs, and a 3-year-old child on a scooter in his front yard.
Where was that, sorry?
In Perth.
I'm sorry, I didn't know about that. That sounds like an awful, shocking thing, and no doubt a family is going through huge trauma right now.
That driver was granted bail. Do you think that's a fair response?
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about it.
Can I ask just about the roadmap? Will that have dates for opening to states and territories or vaccination?
It'll have a lot of detail about what the plan is. Yesterday we announced another $400 million for spend on health, 270 new beds. Hundreds of extra nurses and doctors on top of what we announced in the state budget. And we also announced on Saturday New South Wales will be change from extreme risk to high risk, which will change the people who can come in and the rules around them. So obviously, as we progress along the COVID road, we make changes. We'll make further announcements and changes tomorrow. It'll have some significant detail in there, but as you all know, as you go down the COVID road, nothing is certain. So we do our best to provide detail, but everything is, unfortunately, always subject to change. I'll go. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Premier. Look, I can give you an update on the investigation. At present, obviously we have a man in custody and those investigations are continuing, so no charges have been laid as yet. So I can take questions around that.
Expecting to lay charges today?
Look, we are, so it'll probably be later today, but there's still some work that's being undertaken, some interviews that are occurring. So I would expect later today that will occur.
Cleo, sorry.
Look, we're still going to work that out. We've got specialist child interviewers here at the moment, so at the appropriate time. Sorry, I can't hear. Oh, look, he's back in the police station now and speaking to officers at the moment. Sorry?
Is it correct that he's harmed himself 2 times?
That's information that I've got, yes.
Does he have any previous charges relating to indecent dealings with children?
Look, I can't go into anything like that.
How much can you tell us, Rod, about the way he looked after her? She looked remarkably well for someone who was 18 days off.
Yeah, look, again, I can't go into detail. As you're aware, there's a man in custody who may well be before the court very shortly. But we've seen the physical condition, we can say. So, look, she's been checked out at the hospital and physically she's okay.
No injuries or no signs of anything?
No.
Is she flown back to her?
Sorry?
Will he be flown back to her?
Look, that could occur. I'm not quite sure of exactly what will take place, but if he is charged, he'll go before the court here, I would imagine, and then they'll make those arrangements. It's up to the magistrate.
I know.
Yeah, magistrate, you be able to easily get to the court sale tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe there's a magistrate in town now. There is one, so I would imagine he would go before the magistrate if he's charged this afternoon.
I know you're looking at the theory that he acted alone, but can you confirm that yet, or is that still part of the...
No, I can confirm that. That's what we will allege that has taken place, that he acted solely alone.
You investigating the possibility that some sort of online accounts on social media to try and groom children?
No. But again, what I would say, obviously, it's a far-reaching investigation, so if we receive any information around that, that's something that we will look at.
Was it him who was driving that car to the right towards Cardiff?
Yeah, well, that hasn't been confirmed as yet, but certainly we would say that that car was significant and it was in the right time frame.
Is there anything more you can tell us about how you pieced this together? I think there was reports he was found in town on the night.
Look, like I've said, it's a lot of information that we received, so a lot of investigation, all the statements that we took from, all the people, over 100 people at the campsite, over 1,000 calls from Crime Stoppers, all the data that we were able to seize in CCTV, other stuff we've mentioned through phones and other means. So it's really just getting all that information together, us understanding what has taken place, and then looking for that person that we say is irregular, someone that was there that shouldn't have been at a certain time in a certain location. So it's a bit of a painstaking process. Obviously there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pieces of information, so it's really joining those dots.
Is this man of dolls?
I'm not going to go into it.
Was this man under surveillance in the lead up to police working on this one?
I can't. What I can say, it was a very quick moving investigation. We only really pieced that piece of information together late on the Tuesday afternoon, and he was arrested not long after that.
Is the information in the investigation that led to this man primarily from the information at the blowholes or the information from his activities in town?
Look, it was all that information, but it was obviously if we're looking for something that's occurred at the blowholes, this information would be relevant to that. So if we can put people in certain locations at certain times, that's what we look to identify, and obviously from that we can build a picture of who was there, who shouldn't have been there. And led to us identifying this person.
Was there hair dyed at all? His hair?
No.
Was the arrest made before police entered the home?
I think the timing around that was almost at the same time, but it may have been shortly before the police entered, around that same time. But
How fast moving was it in terms of, was it a late afternoon kind of?
yeah, it was. Yeah, look, we were piecing the information together late on Tuesday afternoon, so obviously trying to gather further information. Things became a little clearer. We'd identified that this person was a person of interest, a suspect, so it just led from there. So then there were some decisions that were needed to be made on the ground by Cameron and the team here. So obviously keeping us informed, they made a great call, and that's led to obviously to finding where Cleo was.
On how long he'll be interviewed for, or how much time he's spent being interviewed already?
Look, I would imagine that those interviews will conclude today, possibly this afternoon.
Well, get the house for all 18 days.
But that's still something that we're going through and trying to establish.
How will this sort of large police presence be here, or will be a sort of fairly decent police presence for weeks to come?
Yeah, for weeks to come, we're still the task force team will still be here. There's still a lot of work to do. Obviously, we're at this point, but there's still a lot of work for them to do around it, and the investigation continues.
Did you shed any light on the condition of the house or when police arrived there?
No, look, I can't go into that.
Can you confirm, Rob, that one of your officers was slightly injured during the arrest?
No, I don't believe that's the case.
Can you confirm the arrest was outside the home though?
Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was on the street. Not outside the actual home itself. It was another location on the street.
Have extra officers been brought up to deal with community unrest?
Look, I believe some extra officers are in town, not necessarily for community unrest, but obviously there's a lot of police officers from Carnarvon that have been tied up in this operation as well, who are still assisting us, so that puts a drain on local resources. So with that, they come to town to assist the local police.
Do you have concerns about any sort of unrest in town at all?
No, look, I haven't heard any of those reports.
Can you tell us why the man was outside his home at that time?
No, look, I can't go into that.
Was Cleo awake at the time when the police came in? What was she doing?
Yeah, she was. I can say she was awake. She was alert, and she was in the room where we obviously found her.
You've just been able to go into the meet and talk to her for the first time. What was your message to her?
Oh, it was amazing. Obviously, you work on these cases, and like everyone, we worked long, hard hours, and to see actually her there, it was surreal. It was amazing. So I'm very grateful for that, and that this was the outcome.
You filmed an ambulance that left here and went to the hospital yesterday. Can you confirm that that was the 36-year-old man?
I haven't seen the footage itself, so I don't know if it was the person, but I can confirm that the man was taken to hospital for treatment and returned back to the police station.
Did he harm himself inside the police station?
That's what I believe.
Can you describe the intricacies of interviewing Cleo and how long she may have to be spoken to?
Look, obviously the main concern around that is Cleo's welfare when we conduct child interviews. So we have specialists here that we've brought up for Perth. They'll sit down with the family as well, and it'll take as long as it takes. Sometimes it takes a couple of days. So we're very careful, very mindful of, around her welfare when we undertake these interviews. So we have experienced people that will undertake that. And it'll take as long as it takes.
Is she in a good condition today to be able to speak?
Look, yeah, she was fine. She was, like the Premier said, she was playing around and in great spirits. So we'll sit down with the family and work out the appropriate time.
How do you feel about the bear names?
Comfortable being a teddy bear one?
Yeah, no, I wasn't too happy with that. I don't know there's much I can do. Yeah, sure.
Feelings going to the house as well, being seen there, was it your first time was it your first time able to have a good sort of chat about everything's kind of settled down a bit?
No, I saw the family yesterday morning, early in the morning, and so it wasn't the first opportunity, but it was the first time I think to sit down in a more relaxed format and have a conversation with them and really see Cleo in her home environment. And it was really heartwarming to see her interacting and playing in the backyard and just being herself and around her parents and see that this hasn't had I'm sure that it has had an impact, but just to see her just behaving quite naturally like a 4-year-old girl should do, and just enjoying being in the presence of her little sister and her family. So yeah, it was nice.
Did she remember?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that sure really. I don't think she was too keen on calling the little teddy Cam or Rod. Quietly, while the Premier was talking to her parents, I tried to convince her she should call it Mark. But yeah, I'm not sure if she did recognise us. But as I said yesterday, she's a lovely and sweet girl. She, she's quite trusting and welcoming. I'm sure, she would talk to anyone, and it was good to, just sit there and have a little conversation with her and her parents.
You made a comment yesterday that you had to be careful about what you said to her because she was going to be questioned at some point.
Yes.
Her parents, are they under any instruction about what they should or should say?
Well, yes. Well, we've given them advice around that, and that must be incredibly hard for them. So we certainly appreciate their assistance and cooperation with that. But as we've said all along, Ellie and Jake couldn't have been more cooperative and more understanding of the police work that has gone on. And it's not always the case that people understand that we want to see a successful prosecution at the end of the day for the personal people that are responsible, and not just with this, but I'm just talking about offences in generally. So they have been absolutely fantastic the whole way through, and that extends to right now, and I'm sure into the future. So they understand where we're going with the investigation, what work remains to be done. Our family liaison officer Jason is going back out there right now to speak to them and talk them through the next steps. So and that's more in relation to the specifics. So yeah.
Does that mean the family is sort of kept in the dark for the time being, like they don't really know what happened for the past 18 days?
We share with them what information we can. They know what they need to know, and we're just really glad that they've been cooperative around that. Obviously it's still a time where we're exploring all the facts, and we're getting information from still a number of different sources. Some of that information is completely wrong. Some of the information that's been reported is completely wrong. So we're careful about what information we share, and we want to make sure that we're 100% certain of the facts before we start disclosing those facts to the family.
Could you paint a bit of a picture as much as you can for us about what the room was like when you walked in and saw Cleo? What was inside with their food, drink around, the lights on? As much detail.
I think I've said the lights were on, and that she was playing with toys. I think that's about all I want to say. But this is still a matter that needs to go before the courts. There's certain aspects of what we saw that is going to be evidence, and I really don't want to say anything that's going to prejudice a trial.
Are you amazed though at how well she appears to be at this stage of her condition after such a long time?
I can only see her on the outside, but from that point of view, I'm amazed that she seems to be so well adjusted and happy, and it was really, as I said before, heartwarming to see. That she's still bubbly and she's laughing. She's got to have a little bit of sleep. She's had a few small sleeps. I wouldn't say she's had a long sleep, but she's falling asleep in her mother's arms. There was one occasion where she asked Mum just to come, if she could just lay next to Mum and have Ellie look at her while she fell asleep. It's really good to see that she's adjusted. She's getting some sleep. She's playing, in the backyard like exactly how you would expect, like my daughter did when she was 4. So it's really good.
Is there a message from the family that they wanted to get out there to people? It's just been followed by so many people around the world in Australia and different towns.
Any messages from the family? I'm not going to speak on behalf of the family yet. That's something that Jason is discussing with them. They're obviously just incredibly grateful to have their daughter back, and they're just enjoying the time with her at the moment. Yeah.
I think, like you mentioned, you were in a bit of a key decision-making role the other day. How do you sort of keep your head clear of that situation and it's moving so fast and make that decision?
Yeah, so when we left for the day on when was it, Tuesday? So I guess as we started to, some of us started to settle in for the night what was going to happen, we had some plans around what could happen. One of them was that the suspect that we were observing could be mobile and would leave the premises. So in terms of decisions, it wasn't that hard because we said, well, you talk about all the different scenarios. So what happened was one of those scenarios, and it was clear in my head what had to occur. So it was just like, hey, let's do that.
The arrest of him, how many police officers and how many cars were involved in his arrest?
Yeah, so there's 4 officers involved in his arrest.
So was he sort of seen walking on the street or was he in a car? And that's
He was in a car.
Can you take us through the timeline? What actually happened? He left the house and then he was arrested?
No, I don't want to go through a timeline at this
Has
stage.
he been cooperative when he's been talking to Cam? Has he actually been answering questions?
He's been speaking to the officers, yeah.
Has sexual assault been ruled out?
I'm not going to go into that.
What was going through your mind before you went into the home? Were you expecting the worst, fearing the worst?
Sorry, say that again?
What was going through? Did you think that she was going to be sitting there alive and well, or were you fearing?
I had hoped for that. I think I said it yesterday. More than anything, that's what we hope for. I think realistically, due to the length of time, the probability of that was not high. So again, it was just overwhelming delight. To go in and open that door. I think shock originally, but yeah, just absolute overwhelming delight to see her unharmed. I shouldn't say unharmed, but certainly from a physical initial view, she seemed fine, and that was really good.
Has the accused made any admissions at the stage?
I can't talk about that.
What charges is he facing or the perpetrator facing?
You'll find out soon enough.
Last questions, please.
Can I just one thing? One thing that might help with our investigation. We obviously have officers here for a little bit of time yet. The previous appeals that we've made to the public around CCTV has been around the particular time, or the Friday, the 15th, and the Saturday, the 16th. Now that we have knowledge of a suspect, I'm asking businesses and people within Carnarvon to provide to the investigative team any CCTV that they might have between Friday the 15th and Tuesday the 2nd of October. So Friday the 15th, let me start that again. I'm asking the people of Carnarvon if they can provide any CCTV between Friday the 15th of October and Tuesday the 2nd of November. That would be of great assistance to the investigation.
Thanks, everyone.